Great. Hello and welcome to the weekly Piral Community Stand-up this week after the summer vacation. So I think it has been a while. Nevertheless, therefore it should be a little bit shorter than usual. We will only give a few status updates regarding our roadmap, specifically, of course, on the delay on the version 1, which we wanted to release in July, but we deferred a bit back. And yeah, a little bit of our progress towards the version 1. As usual, feel free to raise some concerns, ask your questions, and feel free to interrupt if anything is unclear. Otherwise, you will hear me talking for the next 10 to 15 minutes. As you can see, we introduced a new milestone, version 0.12. Actually, I want to publish it last weekend, but yeah, we will still polish it a bit here and there. Specifically, what I'm currently working on is support for the import maps also in the Webpack bundler. So if you have a look at our documentation, you potentially know that we have a section, our guidelines on sharing dependencies, which of course mainly goes into the sharing of dependencies from the app shell. But as you know, Piral also offers you the ability to share dependencies blindly, meaning you don't know who else might be interested in the dependency. But if someone has a matching version, so to speak, let's say you have Lodash in version, I don't know, 1.2.3, and someone also wants to use Lodash 1.3, they can just use the same version of Lodash. But if the other thing wants to use, I don't know, version 1.6.8, then both use their own version of Lodash. And the way how to do it is described in sharing from pilots. But this way relies a lot on the bundler. This doesn't change, but it relies specifically on the parcel bundler with the plugin, parcel plugin import maps. And we think, of course, to have parity with Webpack, we should also offer that in Webpack. And so we will create a plugin for Webpack, which automatically, of course, comes with our weight of our predefined Piral Webpack CLI. And yeah, that should just give you parity. So if you have any code that already uses this one feature and you switch from parcel to Webpack, it should still just build. Keep in mind, of course, that there is no requirement of having Webpack. When, for instance, your app shell is built with Webpack, you can still build your pilots with whatever you want to. So you have one pilot that specifically matches for parcel, just build it with parcel. If you have another pilot that you would like to use Webpack for whatever reason, just use Webpack, and vice versa, of course. So there is never dependency on the underlying tooling, which at the moment is one of the strengths of Piral. If you look at other solutions, tooling is in that sense much more constrained. But still, it's a nice thing. You can leverage import maps in whatever bundler you choose here. All right, so this is currently ongoing. We will add it, and then I think we have feature parity between what Webpack offers, what Parcel offers. Still, of course, these two are different beasts. Parcel tries to do everything out of the box, while Webpack was designed from beginning on to be more modular, that you really customize it, that you configure it on your own. And we, of course, also don't provide you a Webpack configuration that should do everything, but our Webpack config is well, just a minimal config to do the least amount that you expect to do it right, but all the rest you need to instrument Webpack accordingly. Okay, now that's what comes with 0.12. So a little bit of parity, and then for the 1.0.0, what we are currently doing is just a little bit of refinement on some outstanding tasks. So we still have to shoot the introductory video. That will be a replacement of the current introductory video. So this has nothing to do with our tutorial video series. That is untouched by that, but it's really just a Piral in 1 minute in a nutshell, and also very non-technical. So there is no deep dive into what is a pilot and so on, but rather what can Piral give you for your application. And on that yeah, in that sense, also we will update, for instance, Piral Blazor. Currently, our integration there is for a preview version of Blazor, and we know since I think late of May, we already have the first working version of Blazor WASM. So now the WebAssembly part of Blazor is officially out there, and we also should, of course, move on and support that version. With that version, there are also some very, very nice enhancements that we also like to leverage here. The most important one is debugging. So they added support for source maps there, which is quite outstanding. If you think about, you can now in your browser debug C# code, which feels a little bit like magic, but everyone that knows how import maps, how source maps, work, know of course that this is totally possible. And we just transparently give them also the same abilities there in your Piral Blazor code. And some further refinements, of course, on that side. But in a nutshell, I would say that summarizes our efforts there. Right. Yeah, this is the 1.0.0. So why also is the 0.12 they're not 1.0.0? Well, main difference is that there is something called React 17. I don't know if you heard about it. And this is a release candidate currently out there. It will soon be officially published. And when we aligned there with React, with the React team, we found that we should actually postpone our release of Piral 1.0.0 and ship a Piral 1.0.0 with React 17 instead of currently React 16. For users of Piral Core, it doesn't make a difference. We will have a peer dependency on either one. So if you prefer to stay with React 16, you just stay with React 16. If you are a user of Piral, of the framework, then the versioning of React is made for you. So it will be updated to React 17. It shouldn't have a difference at all, because if you read, for instance, this blog post in all depth, you will see that 17 really doesn't come with many breaking changes. There are a few behavioral changes that make a difference on real edge case scenarios. So officially in the whole code base, there have been, I think, 1 or 2 components at Facebook that required a change for 17, or that behaved a little bit differently. And that has to say something, because they have a very, very large code base. So usually it shouldn't hit anyone. Main advantage of 17 is it provides the ability of backwards compatibility in React, which is great for microfrontends too, because you can have several versions in running the same React rendering tree, and all of these will just work together fine. This is super exciting, of course, and that's why we also want to have it in Piral, and why we think it's a good thing to wait for it until we say Piral is now in 1.0.0. Even though, of course, going to higher numbers shouldn't be a big of a deal. So don't expect that we ever will stay in a 1x version. If we have a breaking change, it is just a 2x, etc., etc. Yeah, so that's the main reason for deferring here a bit. We will add the appropriate issues and stories there soon, to also reflect that on our issue board here in GitHub. Right. Besides that, a few enhancements, of course, to the documentation are still planned. Maybe we'll bring back an overview of all the plugins. We will maybe have a little bit of a use case driven approach here too, where we directly want to reflect what kind of combinations and what kind of plugins make sense under what circumstances. So if the description is not so telling, also please give us a heads up here. So we always would love to improve the content that we have, the structure that we have, and the documentation in general. But I think that's it for this week. I mean, next week we will definitely do a little bit more showcasing. We have the 0.12 then, and also I think a first preview of the version 1 that contains React 17, maybe still as a release candidate. But that's at the moment our intention, to go there in a faster mode. Cool. Any questions so far? or remarks?
Not at this point from my side.
Okay, then I would say no one else has anything to let's say clarify. I would call it a day. Again, this was after a little bit of vacation break, but I guess next week we'll do another stand-up. I will try to find some cool demos, especially with the 012. Keep in mind there will be an update also to our migration document. You will find this in the reference. So when you will see the update here, it will then read 011 to 012. So all the things that have been planned for 10 have now been done in 012 already, which means, for instance, develop has been renamed to emulator for the output of your emulator package. I think that's just a fitting name. Also, of course, there are some deprecations. We will rename extend API to plugins, but it's just deprecated. Since we are now doing that already in 012, potentially with 10, it's no longer deprecation, but we will actually remove extend API. But let's see if potentially it will also stay deprecated and you can use whatever. So at the moment it's a synonym, but I think for the future it would make sense to only have one of the two names, and plugins is a much more speaking name since it's just how we call these things officially. They are plugins what we enter there, so yeah, just made sense to call it like that. Okay. As always, you can also come in our chat, and wish you now a happy week, happy Monday, and keep on hacking. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, thanks for the info.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.